U.S. disrupts a large Russian botnet before it could be used. That story's coming up next on this episode of Telecom NewsBytes for Monday, April 11th, 2022. I'm Mark Fletcher, I'm your host and Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. The U.S. has disrupted a large global botnet that was operated by Russia's GRU military intelligence, according to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. Garland said, "Fortunately, we were able to disrupt this botnet before it could be used. Thanks to our close work with international partners, we were able to detect the infection of thousands of network hardware devices. We're then able to disable the GRU's control over those devices before the botnet could be weaponized." Russia has launched a number of cyber attacks in recent months. On the day Russia invaded Ukraine, a cyber attack was launched targeting satellite operator Viasat. The cyber attack, which used malware linked to Russia, caused an outage that impacted thousands of customers, not just in the Ukraine, but across Europe. The cyber attack on Viasat impacted 5,800 Enercon wind turbines located in Germany that were unable to communicate for monitoring or control. Had it hit something more critical, there could have been a serious escalation. Fortunately, Western countries have been preparing for a large-scale cyber attack from Russia, and that was in response to the situation in Ukraine. Additional sanctions announced by the US, UK, and EU in response to the evidence of Russian forces committing war crimes has increased the likelihood of Russia using a cyber attack as revenge. Assistant Attorney General Matthew G. Olson of the Justice Department's National Security Division said, "By working closely with WatchGuard and other government agencies in this country, as well as the UK, we are together showing the strength that public-private partnership brings to our country's cybersecurity." He reports that the operation disrupted a two-tiered global botnet of thousands of infected network hardware devices that were under the control of a threat actor known to security researchers as Sandworm, which the U.S. government had previously attributed to the GRU. The malware itself was known as Cyclops Blink, which the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre, the Department of Homeland Security Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the FBI, and the National Security Agency identified in late February. Cyclops Blink is the apparent successor to another Sandworm-linked botnet known as VPN Filter. U.S. Attorney Cindy K. Chung for the Western District of Pennsylvania said, "Through close collaboration with WatchGuard and our law enforcement partners, we identified, disrupted, and exposed yet another example of the Russian GRU's hacking of innocent victims in the United States and around the world. Such activities are not only criminal, but also threaten the national security of the United States and its allies. My office remains committed to working with our partners in the National Security Division, the FBI, foreign law enforcement agencies, as well as the private sector to defend and maintain our nation's cybersecurity." A massive effort from both public and private entities was launched in order to disrupt the botnet. That included the release of tools for removing the malware and updating the firmware of affected devices into their latest versions. However, a majority of the devices were still compromised by mid-March. Mike Nordwall of the FBI's Pittsburgh field office said, "The FBI prides itself on working closely with our law enforcement and private partners in order to expose criminals who hide behind their computers and launch attacks that threaten American safety, security, and confidence in our digitally connected world." The FBI has an unwavering commitment to combat and disrupt Russia's efforts to gain a foothold inside the U.S. and allied networks. This disruption of the botnet by U.S. authorities will hamper Russia's ability to carry out large-scale attacks that could have a major impact on Western economies. However, it's still worth being extra vigilant in this climate of increased cybersecurity risks. That wraps up this episode of Telecom NewsBytes, sponsored by 911 Inform, delivering next-generation 911 solutions to the enterprise today and making every second count when it matters most. Visit them on the web at 911inform.com. I'm your host, Mark Fletcher, and Vice President of Public Safety Solutions at 911 Inform. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Fletch911. Check out the rest of my podcasts on Fletch.tv, and be sure to like and subscribe so you'll be immediately notified when a new podcast is published. Telecom NewsBytes is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the iHeartRadio network, and is published every Monday through Friday, covering interesting stories in the telecom industry collected from various sources on the internet. Thanks again for listening, be safe, and we'll catch you next time.